Welcome back to the therapy table. We are so happy that you have decided to pull up a chair and join us today. In honor of Bilingual Week, we are doing this episode on multicultural therapy. And we have a guest speaker today, Sia Suliafu, who is our Tongan-speaking therapist at Lighthouse Counseling Services. She works in both our Riverton and Midvale locations. In today's episode, we'll talk about how language can be a powerful tool in therapy, especially for those that feel misunderstood or unheard. So whether you speak one language or many, this conversation is going to be a beautiful reminder that connection begins with being understood. So let's begin. So Sia, tell us about yourself.
Well, I think you said it all. I'm a Tongan-speaking therapist here in the Salt Lake Valley. I work for Lighthouse Counseling, and I'm very family-oriented, and I like to use my cultural background as well as prior knowledge from previous workspaces in my sessions with my clients, especially the Tongan language.
Wonderful. What made you want to be a therapist?
I think the biggest thing that influenced me becoming a therapist was there's two. Wanting to make an impact on other people's lives, but I didn't want to be a teacher. And two, I noticed that there is a stigma with mental health, and not only Tongan culture, but Pacific Islander culture as well. And I wanted to be able to bring conversations like those to the table because they are important, but they were being avoided or unheard.
Now you said that you enjoy working with youth. Can you tell us more about what inspires your vision to empower youth?
Yeah. What inspires my vision to empower youth is just the fact that the youth is our future. And I think if we don't help uplift our youth, then the future is unknown. We don't know what will happen. And so with the youth of today, I think it's important for us to empower them so that they are able to know that their voice is important and they can be something or somebody and can make something out of themselves in the future.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So why is offering therapy in Tongan so important to you?
It's important to me because I know there are a lot of people who feel like they are unable to get their message across, especially if they're bilingual. It's hard to convey the message in, for example, English. There are words in English that don't fully translate to your native tongue, and so I think it's important to have someone who does speak it so that you're able to fully convey the message that you're trying to bring across, the problem that you're trying to solve, that sort of thing, I think is the biggest part.
Yeah, it's so true, because I'm also fluent in Portuguese, and there are words in Portuguese that I'm like, oh, I wish there was a word for that in English. I can't even begin to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to provide services in one's native tongue can be so helpful.
Exactly.
So they can fully express themselves.
Yeah.
So you use a variety of treatment modalities.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide which modality to use with your client?
It really depends on the client. I like to get to know them a bit, have conversations surrounding their background, the goals that they're working towards, and I use that to direct which modality I'll use with them. Sometimes I'll use a mix of modalities with my clients just to see what works best for them, because I may think that a specific modality will work well, but maybe they don't respond well to it, so I'll try something else to see if that works a little bit better. And I like to do that with everyone that I see, whether it's a child or an adult or even couples. I find that works best for me.
One of the things that you and I have talked about before is the struggle that Pacific Islanders have with seeking therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell our viewers more about that struggle?
Yeah. Oftentimes it's hard for Pacific Islanders from experience to seek therapy for multiple reasons. A big one could be that they aren't ready to have a conversation surrounding their past, or they were raised to view mental health as a weakness. Another one is that I've noticed recently is the Pacific Islander community in Utah is very small. It's very big, but in a sense, it's very small. And so there can be a fear of who knows who. If I tell you this about myself, who's going to find out afterwards? And so that fear of judgment from others is very prevalent, to where it brings a sense of shame, and they don't want to seek out mental health help. And so from my experience, that has been one of the biggest obstacles as of lately, is if I tell you this big thing about me, or if I tell you this horrible traumatic experience that I have, who else are you going to tell? Who else am I telling by telling you? Which they're not telling anybody else. And when they're telling me, it ends with me. And so I often, with my Pacific Islander clients, have to reassure them what confidentiality looks like.
Can you tell us more about what confidentiality looks like?
Yeah. Confidentiality in this sense is whatever my clients tell me stays with me. I don't tell anybody else. I'm not gonna go home and tell my whole family that this is what so and so told me, or this is what my client went through. It stays with me. The only reason I would tell someone else is if I feel that something that was told to me may bring harm or danger, or if it's a situation where I need to report to a higher authority, in which you would be informed prior to that happening. Or unless I'm staffing a case with my colleagues and I need a little bit of advice as to how to go about a situation. But other than that, your secrets are safe with me. But yeah, that's a little bit about what confidentiality looks like in the therapeutic setting.
So one of the things that you've said is there's a stigma.
Mm-hmm.
What is your vision or your goal with helping clients through that stigma?
Yeah, my vision and goal to help clients through the stigma is to bring more awareness that things are okay. I guess awareness isn't the word. It's, I don't know what the word is. I guess I want to make them more comfortable with the idea and knowing that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to reach out for help. If you're asking someone for help, it's not a weakness. It doesn't mean you're less strong than you think you are. And that these experiences that you're having, whether you're experiencing symptoms of anxiety and depression, they are real. They're not you being crazy or labeled as lazy. I know those are some big ones that are brought up often. That your experiences are real and valid, and that it's okay to talk about them with other people to better yourself. Because if you don't talk about them, then you're doing no justice to yourself. You're doing no justice to anybody who you're surrounding yourself with, and getting the help that you need in turn doesn't only help yourself, but it also helps those in your circles, in your family circle, friend circle, in your community. Yeah, just bringing more comfortability to the topic, I would say, is the biggest thing for me.
What do you find to be some of the biggest mental health struggles that Pacific Islanders tend to face?
I think Pacific Islanders tend to face a lot. They deal with a lot of undiagnosed depression. I feel like that's the biggest one, and anxiety. Even, other diagnoses, ADHD, maybe autism. We can cut that part out. But I think it goes undiagnosed because when we bring up these emotions, when we bring up these symptoms that we're feeling of these diagnoses, we're told that we're lazy. We're told that we are going crazy, or it's just in our head, or we're not praying enough. Pacific Islanders are very known to be faithful Christians, devout Christians, and a lot of times if we bring up, I keep saying we, it's just generalized, a lot of times when that topic is brought up, it can be met with the reaction of, you just need to pray about it, or you just need to get up and do something. And in turn, that makes, the child or the youth or whatever individual no longer comfortable with opening up to a person that they do feel comfortable about having this conversation with, which in turn can lead to worse things. And so I think those are the biggest struggles and mental health related things that are being faced in the Pacific Islander community.
One thing you had said too is that in Salt Lake Valley, at least, it's a small but big community, and so considered a minority in the Salt Lake Valley. And how does that cultural integration play a role in mental health with the Pacific Islanders?
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing to bring to sessions, and I try and do it as much as I can, especially in the sense of the topic of grounding techniques. I like to ask them, what are some things that you like to do with your family as a culture, as a group? What are some things that bring calmness to you? What are some things that help you feel grounded? And so using those, asking questions about what their strengths are in the sense of their family, in the sense of their community. We talk about different organizations here in the Salt Lake Valley. We talk about how helpful they can be for us, as well as how can traditional cultural practices help us as a person, help us as a group. I think it's important because oftentimes, I think this is in general, but in therapy, it's when we think of grounding techniques, we think of breathing techniques, we think of using our 5 senses with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, which are great, but I think using cultural integration, we're able to go back to our roots and see what someone would have done in Tonga or in Brazil, or to see how we can integrate that into today's day and age, but also tapping back to our roots and seeing the differences that it could bring. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. And you talked about anxiety and depression being one that's noticeable among the community. But I think it's also important to know that there's also adjustment disorder.
Yeah.
And that can, there's adjustment disorder with depression, and there's adjustment disorder with anxiety. And so seeing it as a situational
Yeah.
thing as well, because change is hard.
And it happens a lot. I think I find myself seeing more people with adjustment mixed with anxiety or mixed with depression rather than straight anxiety and depression. It's pretty much equal to what I see. And so, yeah, that's completely correct.
Yeah. So you talked about working with young adults, youth, children. How do you address them?
What do you mean?
So like, how do you approach them differently?
Oh yeah. With the children, I like to play games with them. I like to get to know what their interests are, what movies they like, what characters they identify with, what board games they like, and kind of using that to guide our conversations and play. If they like art, then we'll do some art and we'll just chat and get to know each other.
She is our slime professional.
Yes, we'll make
A
slime.
expert.
We'll make slime. We'll do I like to use their interests to really like get a good grip onto what they like to do, and it brings a lot of conversation to the table. And I like to use my experience with my younger siblings with that as well, and my younger cousins. I like to say that kids like me, maybe. And so I use my experience with them to kind of format the way I approach kids in session. And so I'll, especially with my teen clients, I'll like see what do they like, what sports are in. I'll talk to my siblings, what games are in, what do kids your age like now. And so I use that.
Keeping up with the trends.
Yes, I try. Sometimes they make me feel old. If
The
I don't
trends
know.
just move so fast.
Yes. And so I try and use my experience with my family to guide the way I approach sessions with clients. And then similar to that with my adult clients, I like to get to know a lot about them. What are some things that you used to do that brought joy to you? What are some places that you like to go when you are feeling overwhelmed? What's your go-to thing? Is it a drive? Because I like going on drives and we'll relate on that.
These beautiful international gardens.
Is it coming
Beautiful.
to take a walk over here? Is it, it could be anything. Is it going to different events? What music do they like? I like to use that to bring some comfortability to the session. I think that's really important. In my sessions, I like to make my clients feel as comfortable as they can so that they can open up to me with as much as they want. I never want them to feel forced to do anything. I never want them to feel forced to share any information with me. I want them to be open enough to share these things with me. And if they have questions for me, then I'll answer them too, just so that there's like a good commonality between us.
Do you ever bring your heritage into the sessions as you're working with Pacific Islanders?
Yes, I do. I think it's really important, especially when I see Pacific Islander clients, to bring in, common experiences that we've all had with our parents or our grandparents or different practices that we have. I think it's important to bring to the conversation so that they can see and know that not only is this person Pacific Islander, but that based on their experience, they also understand where I'm coming from. They also understand the headspace I'm coming from, the experience I'm coming from. They know that, I can understand because maybe it's lived experience on my end too. And so I like to use that as well. And I find it to be very helpful.
So it's not just a matter of being able to be heard and understood. language-wise, but also experience-wise.
Yes, yeah. I think it's something that's can be underlooked often, but it's very important, and I make sure to bring it to my sessions with Pacific Islanders as well.
Can you share a meaningful moment when you were able to do that?
Let me think. I think yes. Once, there was a client who was going through something, and I had, shared personal experience as well. I think there's a line when it comes to self-disclosure with your clients, and I think it's important to keep that boundary. But sometimes just validating their emotions and letting them know that it's okay. Sometimes with my clients, we'll laugh about similar experiences that we have. And what was it? There was something with a client that we had bonded over, and I think it was just trying to find one. I think just being able to joke around, like, because we like to laugh. Pacific Islanders like to laugh. We like to joke around. I think finding a good humor in a session, especially with experience of bringing the language into it, like, that was loud PC, or I was being fia'ilo. So like fia'ilo is being nosy, or loud PC maybe being cheeky a little bit. And so being able to bring in phrases like that is also very funny and very fun, and brings a lot of good vibes to the session. And so
kind of makes it feel more comfortable.
Yes. I try and make it feel like they're talking to a friend, or rather than like an authority figure. I never want to seem like an authority figure to a client or someone that they absolutely have to listen to. I'm someone who will help guide them to choose what they want to choose, and so I try and bring that to my sessions as well.
Nice. It sounds like your sessions can be pretty chill.
Yes.
But also working towards their goals at the same time.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't need to be this formal thing, and we don't need to just be serious.
Yes.
We can have fun in the journey.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's another thing that draws people away from therapy sometimes. And I know in Pacific Islanders, maybe that's another reason as well. At least from my perspective, I think I wouldn't have, if I wasn't a therapist, I think I'd be scared to go to therapy because I may have thought it'd be too formal, or strict. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. What advice do you have for bilingual or bicultural people who want support but they feel hesitant?
The advice that I have is to just do it. Just look for, see if there's a therapist who is the same culture as you, who speaks the same language as you, and just make the appointment. It can be very scary, but it can be very rewarding for you in the end as well. I know that sometimes we just need to make that first step, and that first step is what's keeping us from making progress in ourselves. And so my advice would be to see who's in the area, what therapists are available to you based off of situation, based off of insurance, location, whatever. And if there is a therapist who in your area who's available to you, who speaks the same language as you, or has a similar background to you, maybe specializes in issues that you are interested in working on, I'd say just do it.
Just do it. And once again, if you are interested in seeing Sia, she is in our Midvale as well as our Riverton locations with Lighthouse Counseling Services. And we'll put a link to our website in the description. Anything else that you would like our viewers to know?
I would say if you want to come see me. I am very fun, in my opinion. And yeah, I would love to see you.
What ages do you work with?
Yes, I work with clients ages 4 to however old.
4 and up.
Yes, 4 and up. And like Laura said, I see clients both in Riverton and Midvale. So if you are in those areas, I'd love to see you. Malolele ko hokwinga ko Alicia Suliafu, ko therapist out isole kini pel ko fia lahi ke iheni pe Laura, ke matata no ka aki pe mo mui faga mui lele faga tamai. O ko ngawe ki ai I Lighthouse Counseling I Midvale pe mo Riverton, o ko ngawe I Riverton he aho tu site pe mo tu apulelulu pe ko I Midvale he aho mo nite pulelulu pe mo e falaite. O ko fia lahi ke o tari ki mo tolu ke mo hausi o mai ke au ka pau mo fia mau. Tamai pe email us if you want to set up an appointment. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here at the therapy table. And a heartfelt thanks to Sia for sharing such a meaningful conversation with us. If you know someone, or maybe even yourself, that is looking for a bilingual, culturally sensitive therapy, at Lighthouse Counseling Services, we offer services in English, Tongan, and Portuguese. So feel free to give us a call and share this message with a friend. And we look forward to seeing you at our next episode of the Therapy Table. Thank you for pulling up the chair.